Hi, and welcome to Feminist Beauty. My name's Sarah, and this is my first video. I will be sharing with you today my testimony on how a 50-50 relationship in a marriage doesn't work. You see, when I was growing up, I always thought that splitting things 50-50 in a relationship was what you needed to do in a marriage. Both of you needed to have successful careers in order to make ends meet. You both need to split the bills. You both need to divide the household responsibilities, including cooking and cleaning. And this was an expectation that society as a whole let down on my generation. Today, you might be thinking to yourself, wow, that really sounds like the relationship I'm in right now. You may be with a partner who has these expectations of you. You're both expected to work full-time. You both split the duties 50-50. And this is what you think is gonna build your relationship and sustain it for long-term growth and commitment. I am going to tell you right now that by having these expectations of sustaining a 50-50 relationship, you are building your relationship on a sand when God's ordained plan is to build a solid foundation on a rock. Here is my testimony. When I was 19, I met my first husband, and I thought I had found the one. We met when I was in college, and he was really persistent on pursuing me in this relationship. I wasn't really interested in him at first, but I admired how much this guy liked me. We started dating and we spent a lot of time together. And this was when I was in junior college. Until a couple years later, we had gotten engaged after a few months. We had a long-term relationship after I moved away to college, and he also was in college. And our relationship really endured many tests. We thought that our relationship was strong, and we both endured very, very difficult times in our relationship with each other, the distance. We both had family issues and concerns that we were going through. I mean, we survived it all. In fact, we even broke up while we were in college, got back together, and it seemed like our relationship was stronger than ever. After I graduated college, this was after we were together for 5 years, we got married a year after college. We were together for 7 years total after we were married. But during our relationship, we were both split in completely different directions. My career was in one city, his career was in another city, and we were having to live and move and split directions according to where both of our career was. We were both splitting directions, and it was like a tug of war in just that one entity. Looking back at this relationship, this was a relationship that shouldn't have even started before it began. At first, we connected personality-wise, but that's what you do with friendships. I wasn't really attracted to him at that point. We didn't really have a whole lot in common. We were both very, very different people. And you might say, well, Sarah, if you weren't really attracted to him, then why were you with him? It was more that I was drawn to his personality. I was hoping down the line there would be more of an intimate connection, a spiritual connection, emotional connection. And there were some of those things, but the lines didn't seem to add up. What really drew me to him, though, was that he was really funny. He had a wonderful personality. He was very personable. And he was also very professional. And he had a very great personality. People loved him and admired him. He was the life of a party. People were drawn to him. And I really admired him for these qualities. Eventually, there was no intimacy, and we eventually grew apart. The lack of attraction on my part was not the reason our relationship ended. What ended our relationship was we both wanted different things. Our life expectations of each other didn't meet the standards we had set for ourselves. In our mid-20s, we were both very career-oriented. I was so focused on, and he was focused. We were both focused on that corporate ladder, moving up, making more money, living in the fast lane, more money, more money, more money, just to catch up and sustain that American dream. I remember he wanted children, and I also, at that point in time, because I was so career focused, I wanted nothing to do with children. In fact, in my 20s, I didn't even like children. And I felt that women who stayed at home to raise children, this is how I really felt. This is where I was. I felt they were weak. I felt that women that wanted to stay home were an old use to society, sissy, and didn't belong in this time. Because the way that the world had evolved, I felt that women needed to be more postured, more career focused, more intellectual, a driving force, so to speak. And at that point, I really was Miss Independent. Thought I was strong, thought it was my way or the highway, and I believed that women needed to be strong, career-oriented, and contribute just as much as a man. And I believed that I, as a woman, had to do it all. I had to be the driving career force. I had to be the one that cleaned and cooked. I had to be the one to be that forefront and drive the relationship. I felt I needed to lead. But little did I know that it wasn't my responsibility to lead the relationship, that it was his. At that time, my husband felt the same way. He didn't really have respect for his mother, who was a stay-at-home mom, very traditional. We both of our parents were both married, and his dad worked really hard, traveled, commuted. His mom stayed home, didn't really handle the home front. I saw his dad really do it all. And I think this kind of distorted his view on what he wanted in his future relationships. And for me, I had the reverse psychology effect, where my dad worked, he was gone. He was the head of household. He was the man of the house, very traditional values. And I always admired them and respected them for that. My mom she worked because she wanted to. She wanted those extra things, but she was that very traditional housewife as well. Worked very hard, did everything she could for me and my brother. But I wanted nothing to do with this traditional value, this 1950s, so to speak, housewife, because I thought times have changed. We're living in a different society now. The world has changed. What necessarily may say about a woman today, a modern woman, how does that reflect in the Bible for what a woman should be today? My ex-husband admired my career ambitions. And at this time, in our 20s, he believed in a 50-50 relationship. But I believe over the time of our marriage, and when our marriage almost ended, we both realized that the 50-50 relationship was an unrealistic expectation. These expectations became impossible. If one of you gets ill or is on disability, the relationship becomes 80-20. If you both work and one travels, the relationship could become 70-30. And this was definitely a part of our relationship. I had traveled for about a year. There were times that I wasn't home for 2 months at a time, and he was at home, left with all the housework, the cleaning. I was never there. He was spending more time with his colleagues and friends. So at this point, we didn't have a relationship. Or one person works longer hours, and the relationship became 45-55. And you always come to a place in a relationship when you bring it to the table of a 50-50 relationship, you're always measuring up these responsibilities to fail. At this point, love becomes conditional, and each other's expectations are never met. And both, at this point, are left unsatisfied, miserable, lonely, and eventually one looks elsewhere outside the relationship or leaves altogether to find their own happiness. After we were married for about 5 years, I really thought our relationship was going to start to take a turn for the better. For a short term, it did turn around when my ex-husband realized some things in his own life to get himself back on track, in which to help our marriage get back on track. He had found Jesus, and we both started to go to church. Myself, I grew up in a very strong, conservative, Christian, evangelical household. And at the time when I was 18, we left this church. And at that point in time, there wasn't any other church in the area that really felt connected to pursue and holding on to those values and morals in my upbringing. And at that point, I always knew right and wrong because I had accepted Christ in my heart at a young age. Those values always were within me, but I did walk away from the faith. Always believed, but I wasn't walking it out. And I conformed to the things of this world and the unrealistic society expectations, and became the woman I thought it was socially expected of a modern millennial woman. I was all about money, success, and status. My husband was new in his faith, and eventually during his spiritual journey decided he would be better with somebody else. Someone who was more family oriented, worked a family balance, to be home more and take care of the household and personal needs and responsibilities, which honestly, I didn't blame him. I believe he realized a more outgoing, biblically based, traditional wife was more sustainable in a long-term marriage. He admitted to me during this time that his heart was not in the right place and that he needed to move on in the relation. He needed to move on without me. At this point, I was left broken, shattered, and full of pain. But what I will say, what he did help lead me back to was my spiritual roots in Christ. And with or without my marriage, and what I had learned is that all things work together for those who love him. Romans 8:28. When you get married, you think this person you made a commitment with will always love you and will be with you no matter what the circumstances are. The truth is that it takes more than love or what you think is love to sustain a relationship. To sustain a sustaining relationship, it's going to take both people on both sides to make the relationship work. Hard work, dedication, and compromise. Both spouses need to hold true the commitment they made to each other at the altar with family, friends, and most importantly, their vow to God. Because apart from the Lord, you can do nothing, in John 15:15. I hope this video reached you, touched you, and blessed you in many ways. I look forward to doing more videos in the future. Take care, and God bless.